Okay. Uh, so my purpose here is to continuously record and provide testimonials of the different ways they've been trying to manipulate me into accepting this false persona they've been creating. But most importantly, it's just, you know, as a target individual, they're gonna go through their scripts. They're gonna tell you all the bad things that are gonna happen to you in order to make you anxious and be nervous, and also to try to make you identify with things. With me as a target individual, uh, who I've humiliated some of this because I was a target. Well, I am a target individual, and with a lot of target individual, we get this like psyops, meaning that there's people around you who try to present this program as something that is not right. They come up with their own like little like reality of what this is about, and they try to present themselves in a certain ways. And you know, with me, there's been a lot of humiliation in the sense that reality is just something they can escape from. Yes, they can try to create a bubble of fantasy, but the reality is, as they were trying to convince me that I was somebody I'm not, and using these manipulations, which they do to others, right? I'm thankful there's been so many testimonials and ways I've been validated, and reality has been kind of imposed, like forced onto them, where they can just escape it. They can't create their little fantasy, but they can make me think in this illogical way. And so now they've completely accepted that they can create a narrative knowing that it's just as falsified as they want. They can create stories and make it be something that is not true and have no shame. And wanting you to accept that. Because there's no, like at this point, you've been humiliated. You know what you're part of, you know what you do to people. I know that you manipulate me to perceive things in certain ways. I understand. This is what is going to happen to me. So let me just start from the beginning. I am a target individual. I'm a TI, target individual. My target, I'm a target individual with V2K, anesthetic telepathy. That's the worst thing you can experience, but this is many of us. There's many of us, a lot of women included, And what happened is, our brain are rewired in so many ways, and also we are manipulated mentally in so many other ways. So thoughts, memory, perceptions, dreams, reactions, like it just every experience you experience as a target individual with synthetic telepathy and V2K is like manufactured, is orchestrated, is created, and the whole purpose is to try then, once they manipulate you in whatever ways they want you to experience things, then they want you to subscribe to and identify as if it's you. And so that's when this perps that you hear about, people around you making noise campaign, try to make you accept these manipulations as if it's you, by try to intimidate you and warning you of the things that are going to happen to you. But they time it with when these things happen to your brain, when you experience this, or when you remember what was done to you. It's like a tactic to just kind of try to get you to identify. You're supposed to subscribe to it. Oh, you're going to be burned. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to be burned, but the reason why this person is saying that is because they want you to identify. And them saying that is like, oh, you're going to, kind of box in this thing they did to you, and then kind of forcing you to identify with it, but telling you something bad that's going to happen to you, right? To put fear on something they made you experience, or a narrative they want to create. And this is a lot of that. Of course, I get the repetitions, the scripts. You hear. For me, I hear a lot of childlike individuals, like a lot of like very fragile, childlike, coward-like individual. Like not like I hear a lot of them. I also try to I hear some of this, like the guys that try to sound menacing using like a deeper voice, and try to sound like it's like they also play with like tonality of their voices. And as V2K is the ability to like imposes their voices onto your brain. And for me, I think a lot of it is a mixture of automated and in person, right? At individuals, I think it's both. But I would say that it would not be hard to automate what I'm hearing, and especially who sound like what they sound like. Like it's not like you don't hear like if the intellect at this point when they do these things, when I hear them, it's just is the bare minimum of intellect, right? So they can easily be automated, but I think there's a mixture of automated interactions and actual individuals. So, but either way, they could easily automate the whole thing. So either way, it doesn't matter. But what I'm hearing from these people it sounds like childlike individual, and some of them are very gimmicky. You can hear them trying to sound a certain way to be menacing, sounding menacing. Now, I'm not saying that, but there's not bad things are going to happen to me, but I'm saying that you can see them trying to sound a certain way, try to sound a certain way. They try to either sound menacing or try to agitate you like a child, like, hey, and it's like, okay, you just try to sound like a child. And they usually, and I know how they play with this V2K voices, and not even voices, but how they try to change who's going to interact. For example, when I listen to like testimonials of what they do to children, how they torture like kids with handicap, mental handicap, like the stories I've heard from different target individuals and their testimonies, I can hear a child try to jump in and try to like distract me and disorient me because they don't want me to associate them with what they're really part of. I see, like I associate them for what this program does to people, including women and children. And so with me, they wanted to create this psyop of like we're this avenging, protecting of the community, like these BS things, which is falsified. When in reality, it's just opportunists, obviously, working for this program that is actually torturing women and children. And many of them have had experience doing this to women, and even, children. So they're nasty and foul people, but they want the facade, the psyop, to remain there, right? I think for some of them, this kind of way to help coping with what they're involved in. And I keep hearing one childlike individual. She's like, I'm gonna frame you, and I'm gonna do this because I'm doing it for this person, And she's in a program that's out here killing and torturing a lot of women, like destroying their life, right? She's a bottom feeder. She's just a nobody. In my mind, I'm like, I just can't wait to look at this person in person. Because at this point, and she's like a childlike individual. It's so pathetic. It's like, oh, I should feel sorry for her because that's probably family members who are making her doing that. Because as a child, she's just, but she tells me how they gonna frame me. They would, they've been creating like chats between me and this childlike individual and make it sound like me and her have been interacting and things like that, and we've been like that basically that it's gonna be some kind of frames showing that I've been with this kid, or I've been interacting with this kid, or some BS with this trash. And I'm like, what? Do you think? But I look forward to seeing this person. Because I know this trash is like, what can you imagine, like you're a kid and you do this, like what's the future? And they will try to tell themselves like, oh, we're noble, we're doing this because we're noble. They're in a program that is torturing even kids, and some of them have done that to children, have tortured children. They've done horrible things to women, and then the program that is killing in front, like there's no way they can try to trick themselves into that fantasy. So I'm like, yo, dude, okay, let's, you're just a bottom feeder working for these entities who actually, ironically enough, have a bunch of pedos. There's been like an article, calling out the patterns of pedophilia in this intelligence community. So hearing these people like you, and it's just like so magically ironic. Which is kind of an indication that maybe she should look forward to the future, if that's gonna happen. But either way, I look forward wherever it's gonna be. They're like, you're gonna see that person in court. Like I don't care if it's in court. I look forward to that. You'll see how magical this moment's gonna be. But I don't want to stop them from doing these things because maybe it's kind of mean spirited. but knowing that even that's going to push me, that means that horrible things are going to happen to me. It's just like I just don't wish good things from people who involved in themselves in this, and so that is definitely it, something I wish that they go ahead and see how things comes up at the end, when when it's time to focus on their life, because this is something that comes back in so many ways. um and I've seen that in person. Like, I'm not. This is not biblical in a sense that this is not a magical thing happening. This is human experimentation. We're subjects. We're human subjects, and the Department of Defense is just running this program, and they used more subjects, and and that's that. Now, with that being said, I gotta say, it feels very biblical, spiritual, knowing that obviously this is technology, because everything they've been trying to come up with has been just like the reality, just be like boom in their faces, humiliating them, exposing them, truly exposing them for what they are, not this fantasized reality they put together. And as much as they were trying to vilify me, just the reality is just kind of bam, just like in their faces. So, for me, it just made me be more religious and spiritual, because all my prayers have been answered, and I can just, this is definitely, that's definitely what I've been praying for. Now I know I've never prayed for like getting out of this program, and because I know reality. These women, these children, being tortured till the end. So I understand that. So for me, I just pray that while this is happening to me, first of all, let me see them for what they are. I've seen them truly for what they are. Let them not be able to cover up, unmask them, truly unmasked in so many ways. They've been torturing children. They've been torturing women. The people running this program is filled with pedophiles. They are truly cowards in every sense. I'd rather die than having to live their life. And it's funny, they try to like dehumanize me and tell me how I'm a nobody, I'm a zero, I'm a something. I'm like, oh my gosh, where are you? Where are you? And it's funny, at this point, my ego, my self-esteem has grown, even though they've been doing some disturbing things. So where are you? What's a number one? Not even number one. They try to do their things, but what's a success? Are you a successful person? That's that. Oh no, I'm proud to be a zero then. And obviously family members are involved, and even things have happened to my family members, kind of showing like the biblical aspect of things. And my direct family members involved. If I told you what happened in my family when they were trying to break me down, you think this is like biblical. It's like when they were trying to do to me happened to them. So that's why I'm just becoming close. I've become closer. I was already very religious, but now just like it's just undeniable for me. Now, with that being said, I expect nothing but the worst, and tortured, and all that, because of these people have been just too humiliated. It's like the humiliations that they experience, they want to compensate for it, in hope that it's going to make them less humiliated by the reality of things. And they like to call it, oh, you provoked us, because I bring up the things they don't want to hear. And they like to come up with stories in the ways that they want to. And it's funny, right now I'm listening to this childlike individual. It's like, bastard, bastard. It's like, definitely, you can hear her being the fraud that she is, but that's good. That's their job. One thing that yesterday they were trying to bring me up with, they've been making me look at kids in so many different sexual ways. It's so nasty, from the babies to the older kids. But one thing they also do is, like, when I look at some like 25-year-old or something like that, 24, 25-year-old, then try to create, then try to because at that point, I'm in my mid to late 30s. And so, you know, a 25, a 26, a 24, a 23-year-old, to me at that point is just like, it can blurs in into like, I'm not sure where the age lie. Now, you know, obviously that's why they check IDs. You never know who's the people. Some people age, um, but now I've noticed they even try to like mess with me with like adults, right? And because there's no way to me to ever find out, they can, who knows, right? Is it somebody who just look like an adult but is not an adult, or is it somebody who looks young but is an adult? Like, there's so many ways to just like, so it's just like, you see, we busted you, you know, like it's so like childlike. But there's this thing, for example, today or yesterday they were doing to me when I came in. I live in this neighborhood now in 2022, and I remember coming in 2021, winter of 2021, to come see this apartment. Come in, and first of all, I hear somebody saying something, cursing at me, and I turn around, I see somebody with a grandmother, a baby. When I mean a grandmother, I mean somebody who's like maybe late 50s, early 60s, maybe 62 years old or so. And I see this person, and the older woman has a baby, and this person is like a younger person, like maybe 22, 20, you know, 23. I'm giving her like between 20 to 25, right, around that, in the early 20s. And so I look and I'm like, okay. And then she grabs the baby from the grandmother, and I'm sure that's her baby. She looked like she's the mother. It looks like even like she gave birth not too long ago, and the baby's not, it's like very fresh, maybe less than a year. It's like maybe 6 months or so, and she looks like the mother of that baby. She, you know, you can see even the way she's fit that she's like somebody who just had a child too. And so then she crossed the street holding her baby, and I look at her, and they make me look at her like butt. But at that point, I don't care because I see her as like an adult, like a 22-year-old or something. That, and you know, she's somewhat like a voluptuous woman, young woman. But it's just like, it's just, I'm being forced to see you like that. You know, like at this point, a baby, they can make me look like little kids in this sexual way. So it's gonna be easy for me to be forced to have some perceptions in this sexual way. It's just kind of forced onto me. But you're an adult, right? And I'm not an innocent. Like, let me just be honest. I've looked at, one thing is for sure, as a target individual, do not try to paint yourself as a, like, I'm not perfect. I know the real me. I know truly who I am. I know that I have my flaws, and my flaws, I know what they are. Now what they're doing is to manipulate me to perceive kids in sexual ways. Now, I know those are not, this is the nasty things they force me to experience. But with that being said, me looking at a woman in a sexual way is something I've done many times. I'm not perfect. This is truly my imperfections. But like many other men. Now, what they've been doing is to try to make me look, the way I look at this, the way I look at children, they try to take from the way I look the way I look at women. So basically, they try to make me look at children the way I would look at a woman, and try to make me perceive them in the same ways. It's nasty. And try to rewire me in these pedophilia ways. And so this moment, and they're like, oh, how old is she? You know, they try to, because she's like early 20s or so. And she's holding her baby. And it's funny, at one point, because she had, you know, this little backpack. It's not like a backpack for school. It's like a backpack for like a purse. It's like a purse backpack. And they were like, oh, you see, she has a backpack. She's going to... It looked like there's like just like maybe three items of like wallet or something. Just like, it's like a backpack for like to you know, it's like a fashion backpack for what's the word, like a purse, but in the backpack version of it. And so they're like, oh, you see that's proof, and they're trying to do back and forth. It's like, you see, you looked at her butt. I was like, listen, I don't like, you know. And I'm like, as long as she's an adult, whatever. And at the end of the day, is, you know,